Our first state officer candidate to present their speech today will be Ms. Bailey Peters.
Life's a dance, you learn as you go. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. Don't worry about what you don't know. Life's a dance, you learn as you go. Whether it's a reminder from our parents, our teachers, or society, we are taught our whole lives to be individuals and stand out in the crowd rather than letting ourselves become followers of those around us. We are told not to compare ourselves to a social standard, but rather be our own individual with our own goals and ambitions. But what if I told you to be a follower? What if I told you to be a follower and a leader? Do you remember that awkward first day of middle school? Maybe it was then when you learned that to be a follower, lost, seems simpler than standing out. You see, there's a difference in following to blend in and intentional following. By sitting in this room right now, you may feel you are a follower for joining FFA. Maybe you don't know your purpose yet. That's okay. The day you put on your corduroy blue, you became a leader by choosing to be an intentional follower. You became involved in an organization that not only produces the top agriculturalist in the nation, but instills a foundation of skills, solid values, and high standards. Prominent individuals like Trace Atkins, Zach Brown, Jimmy Carter, and Mark Trouser wore these same blue jackets. You have the potential to be as prominent in our world as those who came before you. Being an intentional follower is an act of leadership when you challenge yourself to grow. Taking the steps to reach those goals and ambitions our parents remind us to set is a lot easier with this blue jacket on. Those 33 farm boys who started the FFA paved the way so that we could follow in the footsteps of generations of agriculturalists, and through our own intentional following, leadership, and working together as an organization, leave footprints for future generations to come. Washington FFA, my name is Bailey Peters, and I challenge you to grasp your potential, get lost in this crazy thing we call life, and follow me into the year 2014, where followers become leaders, and life's a dance you learn as you go. Washington FFA, let's dance.
And our next candidate, Marissa Gilman from Chehalis.
In life, there are two roads, the one to the right and the one to the left. The one to the right is paved in gold, and the path is flat as far as the eye can see, lacking even a rock to try and trip us up. There are trees and lush green grass that is vivid in color, and the bright blue sky that is never cloudy. This path goes on forever this way, with nothing to stop us. However, the path on the left is nothing like the paradise described. It is uneasy under your feet, caked in mud. Absolutely no footholds to put your feet in. There's no blue sky and no green grass. Nothing. Now, 4 years ago, I took a chance. I chose the path to the left. You want to know why? Because I saw at the end what the right lacked. I saw a glorious sun symbolizing brotherhood and cooperation. I took the challenging road. I made that choice. The left might have been tougher, but I dug in these heels, and I took a chance. I faced my fears head on every single day. I overcame my lack of confidence and stand here in front of all of you today. I overcame my fear of public speaking and realized that I was pretty darn good at it. And I overcame the knowledge that I would know of lacking sleep. Now, I know all of you have done competitions and have not gotten a single hour of sleep the night before. That's me, but all of us FFA kids endure that. All of us are in the same shoes. Now, 4 years later, I stand in front of all of you, asking our delegates to honor me, Marissa Gilman, with the chance to serve as a Washington FFA 2013-2014 state officer. Now, I can't promise you that you'll take the left path like I did, but I can promise you that I can help you take any road that you choose, whether it be right or left. Thank you.
And our next candidate, Michael Heisman from Quincy.
So, how many of you guys have seen the show The Voice? Anyone? So, I was recently watching this show, and I believe it really connects with FFA. And what I like is that the contestants aren't judged on their looks, but on their talents, their skills, and their determination. Now, each contestant is up on stage waiting for just one judge to turn their chair in approval. The first judge on the show is named Blake Shelton, and he's a little bit redneck, just like I am. But what I really like about this man is that he's not afraid to stand up for what he believes in. I believe that as FFA members, we need to stand up for our awesome organization and speak up what it's all about. The second judge is Adam Levine, and though he may have many tattoos, he really is confident in his own body. I think that as FFA members, we need to be confident in our blue jackets. The third judge on the show is named Shakira, and she is a global star. Just like Washington agriculture, FFA is international. The final judge on the show is named Usher. And he is a really cool, calm individual. But what I really enjoy about watching him is that he uses his talents to help his members. Now, over the past 5 years, I've had the great opportunity to be a chapter officer, a district officer, and represent this great state of Washington at the national level in the extemporaneous speaking CDE. But what I love most about my past 5 years is that I've gotten to help many FFA members along the way. And I would enjoy continuing that. At this time, I turn to you, the delegates. It's your guys' turn to judge me one last time. The one thing I can promise you is if elected, I'll give you guys my all. I'll put my heart and soul into this position, whatever it may be. Washington FFA, my name is Michael Heisman. I proudly represent the Quincy FFA chapter in District 9. I love FFA, I love this state, and I would like to be your voice.
Our next candidate, Haley Huber from Wenatchee.
Thank you. These next 3 minutes could change my life. Let me tell you about the first 3 minutes that changed my life. 3 minutes, that is the equivalent of 180 seconds. To many people, this seems like an extremely short period of time, but in those short 180 seconds, anything can happen. 180 seconds. Walking into my mother's business as 2 detectives walk out from the back room. My mother hugs me and lets me know that she loves me, and I tell her that of course I love her too. 160 seconds. Being seated next to the 2 detectives that I have never met before, my mind is spinning. Why am I here? My mother sits beside me and holds my hand. She's crying. Why? 115 seconds. The detectives look at me as if I'm a fragile piece of glass on the verge of crumbling. My mother attempts to talk with me, but she can't seem to get the words out. 90 seconds. Finally, after what seems like hours, my mother turns to me and says, "Your father has been shot." 50 seconds. My father has been shot. My mind fills with questions. Who? Why? How? How could this happen? Is he alive? 30 seconds. One of the detectives looks at me and says, "What your mother is trying to say is your father has shot himself in an attempt of suicide." 0 seconds. Father, shot, suicide. These 3 small words are all that I heard. I couldn't think. I couldn't move. All I could do was sit there and continuously ask myself if this was a dream. In those short 180 seconds, 2 men that I had never met before became 2 men that would tell me the worst news of my 18 years. In those short 180 seconds, I had lost what I had always known as my backbone, my Donald, and my father, and what today I now know as my crazy old man. Bang. Life is 90% what happens to you, is 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you react to it. I embrace this Charles Swindoll quote because it is so simple, yet so powerful. I could be standing up here in front of you today, a sad, pessimistic person, but instead, I chose to react in a positive way. I want to use all of my experiences, negative and positive, to show you that there's a positive in every situation. Washington State FFA, I would like you to spend your next year with me, Haley Huber, looking at the bright side.
Our next candidate, Jonathan Kelly from Battleground.
Aim for the bushes. These were the famous last words of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson in the movie The Other Guys. And while we may not understand why they jumped, we realize this is the beginning of something great for Will Ferrell and his peacock partner. This was their humble beginning. We all have a humble beginning, and that one great opportunity to shine. For some, it might be in sports. Others, academics. But for us, we shine in this organization, in our communities, and in these glorious blue jackets. You see, when we walk into our ag classes for the first time, we aren't always inclined to jump on the wild ride we call the FFA. But when we do, we learn the success of failure. And through failure, we find success. We all have humble beginnings, the spark that lights the fire, and the beginning of all great things. I'm not afraid to tell you, I've been flipped over by a hog, run over by an 80-pound lamb. I have goofy calyx all over my head and 2 pupils that will never match. I've been the new guy a number of times, and the saying, "Good job, John," has followed me around since I was a sophomore. But these opportunities are a small part of the bigger picture. These opportunities have helped make me into the person I am today. These opportunities are a part of my humble beginning. We're not born great, and we don't wake up in the morning and drink a glass of excellence. We have to work at it, and that is what makes us great. And that is what makes us great. A freshman new to his ag class, a sophomore preparing his speech, a junior working on sales, and now a senior standing before you. My humble beginning has helped me excel through all 4 years of my high school career and led me to this one great opportunity before you. We all come from humble beginnings, and we all have opportunities to shine. For some, it might be in sports. Others, maybe Call of Duty Black Ops 2. But for us, we shine in this organization. Washington FFA, my name is Jonathan Kelly, a peacock, ready to spread my wings to serve you as a member of your 2013-2014 Washington State Officer Team. Thank you.
And our next candidate, Lupe Villasenor from Chelan.
I'd like to say something I prepared tonight. Hello, how about that ride in? I guess that's why they call it Sin City. Ha ha ha. Ha. You guys might not know this, but I consider myself a bit of a loner. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack. But when my brother introduced me into the Chelan FFA, I knew they were one of my own. In my wolf pack, it grew by one. So there were two of us in the pack. I was alone first in the pack, and then the Chelan FFA joined in later. And 4 years ago, when my pack introduced me to you guys, I thought, wait a second, could it be? Is this my opportunity to expand my wolf pack? We all love movies, and every once in a while, these movies actually mirror real life. It was this, my first blue corduroy jacket that my advisor helped me into. He said that he wanted to be the first one to put it on and the last one to take it off someday. As he zipped me up, he explained the amount of potential in this simple jacket. This was my initiation into the FFA family, giving me that feeling of belonging that you can't get anywhere else. Here, it doesn't matter if you were born with the skills to bust three-pointers or simply hit that home run. What matters is that you belong to something bigger than yourself. The amount of time your advisor puts into it, the effort, dedication, and passion each member contributes, the support you give one another, whether it be in or out of FFA. All of this coincides to create our wolf pack. This blue jacket brings us together. It gives us that common bond that identifies us as FFA members. The Chelan FFA, where I have belonged. But now I am ready to be part of something bigger. I am Lupe Villasenor, proudly representing the Chelan FFA chapter in Washington's Heartland, District 7. Washington State FFA. Let me give you that feeling of belonging as a 2013-2014 Washington State FFA officer. Let me be part of your wolf pack.
And our next candidate, Andy Zoll from Walla Walla.
Marco. 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 Do you ever feel like you're trying to be found? In a world of over 7 billion people, it can be pretty easy to get lost. Let's go back to middle school. For some of us, it was the best of times, and for others, not so much. There are the kids who are 6'4" and been shaving since the 3rd grade, and then there was me, 4 foot tall with a gel comb over. I was thrown into public school for the first time, and so I was small, unsure, just really trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. I was like a small ship in life's stormy sea. When transitioning into high school, from a school of 200 kids to 2,000 kids, I was taken aback at all the open doors available to us. Overwhelmed by all the opportunities, I couldn't choose a door. Instead, I chose a jacket. Do you remember trying on that new, crisp blue corduroy jacket, looking down and seeing your name in gold stitching across the front, and that big emblem on the back? I became a part of the FFA. Being a part of the FFA means that there are 557,317 other young agriculturists who are motivated by a better agriculture just like you. I remember walking into my first state convention, coming into Beasley Coliseum with the music, the lights, and being in total awe of the sea of blue jackets. And when a state officer came and said to me, "I am glad that you are here," I knew that these were my people. Being able to make connections with you, the strongest youth in agriculture, has made me better. It is said that in order to be successful, you must surround yourself with successful people. And through achieving my goals in FFA and leadership workshops at district officer training and preparing and competing in CDEs, I've developed into the confident and driven agriculturist that I am today. And when I look out and see the sea of blue jackets in front of me, I can tell that they blend us together. But together, we stand apart. Years ago, FFA, when I was lost, you answered my call. But Washington State, I'm Andy Zoll, and if elected on your 2013-2014 Washington State officer team, I am here to answer your call. But I just have one question for you, Washington State. Marco?
And our next candidate, Colby Cavanaugh from Arlington.
Steps. Every journey starts with a step. Whether it was stepping up and dancing in pre-session, walking to the very top of the steps to be the first to welcome the state officers, or down to the bottom, narrow steps to be the delegates, or on this stage. We all took the step. We as leaders have a choice. We can either take these steps for ourselves and rock the experience, or we could just step back and watch as others take them for us. The key to making any step successful is taking it. However, the best journeys are not measured in steps taken, but in the value and importance of the steps that are taken. For example, this past summer, it was a mild 98 degrees outside, and some of my FFA friends from Snohomish wanted to go swimming. They said they had the perfect swimming hole to cool off in. So when they arrived, they ran and jumped off the ledge into the water. They didn't even look, ponder it, or think twice about it. They just jumped in. Now me, being somewhat nervous, slowly approached the ledge, looked over, all to see my friends swimming around in the water 50 feet below where I stood. All I could think was, there is no way I am jumping off of this. Now, after 20 minutes of sweltering in the heat, a little peer pressure, and repeating to myself, take the step, Colby, take it. I finally got the confidence to jump in. That was the craziest step, or maybe better known as a leap, that I took all summer. See, my very first steps in life were in a cow pasture on my grandparents' farm. It was these steps that ultimately led to my journey in the FFA. I'm sure we can all remember our first steps into our advisor's ag room. For me, these were a defining moment. I didn't just walk into an ag room with some dirt and a greenhouse. I walked into a family and started the best adventure of my life. It's like this. An adventurous life does not necessarily mean climbing up mountains or swimming with sharks or even jumping off of cliffs. It means taking that step and risking yourself by leaving a little piece of you in all those you meet along the way. The best journeys are created by taking those steps of faith and learning something new. Our steps define who we are. Our progress depends on them, our success reflects them, and our journeys are shaped by them. A good friend of mine once said, it is the members' jackets that fill, or the members' bodies that fill their jackets, and their courageous hearts that make the FFA so great. I stand before you tonight with a courageous heart, a passion for agriculture, and a drive to support all of you. I am taking the step. Washington State FFA, let's take the next step. Let's take it together and go for gold. I'm Colby Cavanaugh from the Arlington FFA chapter, and I would like to take the next step.
And our next candidate, Lainey Utter from Moses Lake.
Picture this. You walk onto a stage and have to give a 2 to 3 minute speech to 2,000 people, fully knowing they're going to rank you with 9 other candidates. How do you stand out? How do you make the difference? You tell them who you are. Hi, I'm Lane Utter from the Moses Lake FFA chapter, and as a 6-year-old, I practiced my sales pitch with a cardboard laptop. I dreamt of that day where I'd zip up my Moses Lake FFA jacket and lead my team to state. But when I got here, it was a whole different ball game. Needless to say, I never made it on stage, but I learned that winning wasn't always what competing was about. It was about taking what we learn in this organization and applying it to our own lives. In FFA, we all have our own background. The blue corduroy brings us together, but we all have our own passions, fears, and strengths. For some, we participate in an SAE, knowing that only a few stars will be selected, or we test our knowledge, speaking, and leadership skills in a CDE, knowing that only one team is going to nationals. But we find the courage to compete anyway. In FFA, we strive against the odds to reach our goals. My FFA chapter and parents are my driving force. My family inspired me to seek out my deepest passions for FFA, agriculture, and education. I will be an ag teacher someday, and as a state officer, I'll be working towards that goal. Washington FFA, it would be an honor to serve you as a state officer. I will use my dedication to this organization to make the difference. Thank you.
And our final candidate, Michaela Prescia from Springdale.
Pockets. Every single one of us in here have them. Look inside yours and see what you can find. If you're like me, you find a little lint and some random wrapper from who knows what. But think about what these pockets can hold. Mary Poppins, for instance, held everything she owned in the pocket of her carpet bag. She awed everyone with the extraordinary things she fit inside that tiny trunk. Now, Mary Poppins' trunk may have been a little small, but I think everyone in here can agree when I say the bigger the bag, the better. Here we hold everything we need and more. If you look inside my purse, you'll find anything from Band-Aids to fingernail clippers, and of course, a piece of chocolate in case there's an emergency. If I don't have my purse, I feel like someone's gonna get a paper cut, and I'm not gonna be there to be able to stop their bleeding. I feel lost. Now, boys, on the other hand, hold everything in their shirt and jacket pockets. My advisor, for instance, holds everything in that front shirt pocket. If he's missing anything, that will always be the first place he'll check. Now, teenage boys, on the other hand, hold anything from pocket knives, wallets, to snacks, and who knows what else. Let's face it, our pockets are our lives. Our lives in terms of pockets hold everything we know, our faults, our failures, and our accomplishments. Then if you look deeper, you can find a hidden pocket full of all the secrets that you hold. But imagine if someone found this pocket. Would you be proud or ashamed of what they would find? Then think about if they found that secret pocket. Would this change their views of you, or would you wish that there was more you could add to it? Your skills, accomplishments. Our pockets are our lives. I have begun to add more to my pocket of life as I have grown older. I have added some good and some bad, but I have found that no matter what, I cannot dwell on the bad. I have to move forward with a positive attitude, or a spoonful of sugar, as Mary Poppins would put it. I remember after watching Mary Poppins, I wanted to check every single pocket in the house, hoping that it would be like Mary Poppins. But I found that Mary Poppins' bag was like a mystery, just like our lives, and that's what makes them exciting. Our pockets are like lives. What will yours hold? I hope that my pocket will soon hold a Washington State FFA position. Thank you. My name is Michaela Prescia.